Welcome to the Daily Exchange. We're here, guys. The 1% have arrived. They've taken 55% of Bitcoin. Binance are going global. And we're here with Skye from Spender. We'll see you guys right after this. Whoa, we're back. We're here with Skye, the founder of mobile cryptocurrency investment platform Spender Invest. Welcome, Skye, to the Daily Exchange.
Thank you, Fred. Happy to be here.
We were talking a lot about cryptocurrency adoption today and all sorts of different things. Skye, I have a lot of respect for all of your opinions, and we're going to really lean into that. Are you kind of keen, excited?
I'm excited.
Good.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Guys, Bitcoin trading right now at $6,425. We saw this weird dip down and then bounce back up. Joel, if you want to bring this up, we dropped down to 6123 and then we bounced back up to 6,500. That's a huge move. That's like $400. Little unusual. Shorts really spiked up, then closed back down. Bit unusual right now. I'm not sure exactly what that is. It doesn't really help us for, you know, getting through this manipulation thing with the ETF stuff, really, does it, Skye?
No, not at all.
Not good for us. Anyway, we'll just move on from that and ignore that for the time being, as normal. Ethereum, there is 5 new changes coming up with the Constantinople mainnet potentially going live in November. We've got EIP 125, which is the bitwise shifting, a more efficient way of processing information, resulting in cheaper and more efficient contracts. We've got the EIP the 1052, which is the Xcode hash, a more gas-efficient way of performing a specific common function. And the the EIP 1283 gas metering change, more user-friendly data storage pricing, and the EIP, I'm just calling it pi. It's like pi backwards. 1014. Future updates, it's the most intended to lay the groundwork for the future scaling solutions, and the 1234, the old 1234, which is the big one, which is dropping the mining rewards from 3 Ethereum to 2, and the delays in difficulty bomb for 12 months. That's a big deal. So the mining reward when you do a block going from 3 to 2, that's going to hurt mining. Like it clearly Ethereum is right up there in terms of what coins to mine right now. And, you know, and reducing that, it's got to, I don't know what that's going to exactly do. It's got to affect things, right?
It does have to affect things, and I think initially it'll have a big impact on the mining, but over the long term, probably not. And as we were talking about before we aired, I think, you know, Ethereum is going to have to maintain control the price of gas if it is going to be used as the gas of the internet. So this kind of makes sense that they're lowering the reward to me. Yeah,
relying more on fees, less on just inflation, and therefore potentially decreasing the amount of Ethereum that's being created over time, which is good.
Yeah.
Good news potentially there for Ethereum holders. Obviously, this is not financial advice. What's your view on long-term holding Ethereum, Skye?
My personal view on it is I think Ethereum is an amazing technology. I think it's here to stay. I think amazing dApps and applications are being built on top of it. But like logically, when I think about it, I do think of it as like the equivalent of oil and gas. And like, so, you know, you put gas in your car and, you know, oil, whatever, in your car. And like, as such, it can't ever get that expensive from an investment perspective. I don't think it can ever like increase that much in value over the long term if it's going to be that gas of the internet.
Right.
Because it'll be too expensive.
Yep, no one can run their dApps. Gotcha.
Exactly.
I hear you. Moving on to Ripple, has seen some real big gains, about 18% over the week. on the back of X-Rapid potentially being rolled out right now, most of the adoption of Ripple's technology, not XRP, doesn't include the XRP token. And that's relatively interesting. Let's move on. Let's talk about.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, most of it. 180 banks have adopted Ripple technology, which doesn't use XRP. On this show, we have to be very careful. We've received letters that we can't talk about Ripple XRP. Ripple, which owns 80% of the XRP tokens, nothing to do with XRP.
Yep.
Nothing at all. These are two separate organizations. Even though Ripple sold $67 million of XRP last quarter, nothing to do with each other. We're not allowed to talk about that. Just so we're aware. Let's talk about you, Skye. Welcome. And it's really good to have you on. You've got Spender, buying and selling Bitcoin and Ethereum, which launched at the start of last year.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about Spender Invest.
This year, actually.
Sorry, this year.
Yeah. Spender Invest is, so I created Spender, basically when I launched, there was not an app in Australia where I could buy and sell my Bitcoins. I had an account with Coinbase, which was fabulous and easy, and I went to sell some Bitcoins and I couldn't. And I looked at what was available in Australia, and there were websites, etc., and no easy way to sell my Bitcoin. So I made my app. And I also made it with a very big passion of mine, which is to encourage more females into the space.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. Let's talk firstly, there's been this thing coming out right now. You've written this piece about New York consensus, and you attended, and you said you had a very positive experience.
Yeah.
You said about 10% of attendees were female.
Yep.
Why do you think the scene is set for inclusion with women into the blockchain space?
There are so many, organizations, and there are quotas like encouraging more females to get into the space. The industry is literally rigged in our favor. I can see you just putting my Medium article up there. That was just in response to, and this is something that I think needs to sort of change across the whole tech landscape, is it has a bad rep, and I think that rep needs to change. So I wrote that article in response to some pieces that I was reading with some pretty negative press around the female experience at the event. And I'm like, my experience was very different, and I think it's important to share that, the positive stories in order to encourage more females into the space, because it is a great space to be in. So I just wanted to share more positive stories as opposed to trying to pick out, particular bad experiences.
Well, why don't you think, obviously there's a lot less women in cryptocurrency and blockchain and in investment, I guess. Do you think women don't like cryptocurrency?
Not at all. I think they are keen to learn about cryptocurrency. I think, as we talked about earlier, they are more risk averse, but they're curious, and they like to make informed decisions. And I'm finding if you can speak in a language that can connect with women, they're totally up for it.
So one of the things I've been sort of watching a bit of Jordan Peterson recently, and he talks a lot about naturally men are more they appeal more to risk. They have more testosterone. Naturally, biologically, they tend to go for things. So you get males that are all more spectacularly successful, but also more spectacularly in absolute disarray and destruction, right? So because they're just taking on more risk in general. How do you think taking on risk? How do you think I guess as a woman taking on risk? How do you think that'll perform? I guess how do you think women will perform?
Well, there are so many studies about female investors and their success over the long term, and they're more goal orientated and they are more successful. Warren Buffett writes about this all the time, and I think risk in itself is something that really needs to be, or more people need to be educated as a whole. Risk is I think the biggest cause of wealth distribution, problems with wealth distribution that we face. Because wealthy people use risk as a tool to invest. Okay, that's a risky asset, then I will only invest a portion over a specific amount of time.
Yep.
But yeah, so back to females and risk, yes, we might be more risk averse, which is why I really, really focus and am very passionate about educating in the space. Because females are up for it, but they're not stupid. They want to be educated before they go and jump into an investment decision.
100%. Yeah, so I guess very important, obviously, to be making informed decisions. Obviously, guys, this is not financial advice.
Not financial advice.
Woo! All right. Tell us, you've got some strong views in terms of predictions. Tell us, why do you think it's so hard to predict cryptocurrencies?
Or lack of predictions.
Yeah.
Right. I just feel like we're trying to, use all these traditional finance models and methods to predict crypto prices when they just don't fit those models. It's tech. I think we need to be using different measurements, like correlating volumes with mining time, transaction speeds, and things like that. I think we need to look for new ways to measure, because how we're predicting at the moment, I mean, we've got very little data points to go off. It is a new asset class. We are all doing our best, but no one can predict this stuff. So I think we need to start looking at it more from the tech perspective, because it's technology based. So like Bitcoin, for example, look at the transaction times of Bitcoin at Christmas. What, 8 hours a transaction?
Yeah.
Like today,
days.
Yeah, today it's 10 minutes. So if you've got to take these other things into consideration, and then like Bitcoin halving, for example, that's going to happen soon. So it's a completely different world we're in. And yeah, I don't do short-term predictions anymore.
No more short-term predictions.
Wrong. Yeah.
Do you think we've hit the bottom in terms of price?
Never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never. But I always think the bottom is the cost of the mining. It just logically that makes sense in my head.
So if mining takes, obviously, 2020 is the next halvening.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the time that you think Bitcoin will rise again?
Absolutely. Look at history. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Definitely a major time, no matter what. There is definitely a lot of evidence behind that. 2014, I think it was a big one. 2017 again. 2020.
2020.
Everyone hold on for 2020.
2020.
All right, guys, let's move on. Binance is expanding right now. 10 exchanges in the next year. Ideally, they want to be on every single continent. Who do you think should be scared about this? Binance is coming. Coinbase. Look out. Look out, Coinbase.
They're going to come to America, and I would be scared.
We've got a picture here, Joel, if you want to bring up the Binance globe. They're trying to, you can see, they're going to come to Australia. That's interesting. Yeah, what do you think about that? Binance everywhere.
Binance everywhere. Well, I have to say I'm a fan.
You're a fan?
Yeah, they're my favourite exchange.
Oh,
yeah. That's
good. The 1% of Bitcoin apparently has been noticed to be held in about of all the wallet, of all 1% of all wallet addresses own 55% of Bitcoin. 1% of wallets.
It sounds like we're talking about general wealth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The top 1%.
Again, is it happening again? Is the hierarchy of humanity happening again?
I love this figure. I love this figure though. I would just love to know how much of that is actually just lost Bitcoin.
Yeah, totally. So according to Dyer, we're going to bring up the quote, Joel. He's saying that 42% of wallets had over 200 Bitcoin at the peak price, where Bitcoin in December, where Bitcoin was about 20 grand, and they still have chosen not to sell, still holding on The hodl is strong. What do you think that means for? What do you think that means in terms of for the price of Bitcoin for the future, Skye?
27% of these Bitcoin wallets have added more.
Yeah. The holders, they're just not selling. The hodl is strong in Bitcoin.
The hodl is strong. I agree.
Do you sell your Bitcoin or just hold?
That is a lot. Like, I have sold a small portion of my Bitcoin, and it is agonizing. Like, I would sell any other coin, and that
Really?
I find it, yes, it was like agonizing. I don't like letting go of my Bitcoin, and that really tells you something. It's Gresham's law. Like, the bad money will go before the good money. It's like
the bad money, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about mass adoption, and there are a lot of different issues, obviously, affecting that right now. Last year we saw a massive uptick in cryptocurrency purchasing. Outside of just investment, the everyday consumer really sort of lent into it.
Yep.
What would you say sort of are things that we're looking at things that are hindering at first adoption? And this new report called Cryptocurrency Governance for What Was Meant to Be Ungovernable has come out. And it's pretty intense, actually. And they're talking about potentially forks creating instability and, I guess, a lack of appeal when it comes to the everyday consumer getting involved. What do you think about forks?
Look, I think crypto is open source technology. Forks are inevitable. If we're talking about mass adoption, it implies we're talking about people that aren't already participating in the market potentially, so they don't even know what a fork is. And if you're looking at a system like Bitcoin, for example, the ability to fork actually ensures there's no aggressive takeover of the system itself. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it ensures decentralization.
It ensures decentralization, but it ensures, hey, we disagree. We're not going to take you over. We're going to separate. No, there's no hostile takeover, and the best system will win. And you've got this really hectic graph on your screen.
Oh, we've got a crazy graph coming up.
of all the forks.
Yeah.
And then if you think about it,
these are all the forks. So we've got 800 forks, Skye.
I had no idea there were that many.
Bitcoin is forked. Look how many times Bitcoin's forked.
The everyday person does not know there are 800 forks. Only like the people deep in the tech know there are all these like forks. Like, and then look at this. Like,
look, it's forked again. Look, Litecoin forked off Bitcoin, and then look at all these forks off Litecoin. Doesn't that breed? Don't you think this breeds instability?
I don't, because this is open source tech. This is like natural. These are like different systems.
Wow, that's true.
They're different systems. So people aren't all looking at it from an investment perspective. There's all different scenarios going on in this picture.
And these are all the defunct coins. Look at all these. These are all the ones that have forked off and now they're just dead. So people who have bought these coins. Look at this one. This entire coin who forked again.
Have they bought them? Have they forked and they've gone off and tried stuff and
then died?
Yeah.
I'm just worried if people were to buy and invest and that was their first experience, it would potentially, I guess this is what this study is saying,
yes.
Could this create a bit of instability and I guess fear in the market? Uncertainty.
Look, I guess you could make that point. For me, I'm a tech person. This just is very, very natural for open source technology, and I think it was built for this capability. And as to my point before, it ensures the integrity of it, and it ensures the best system will win as well.
Just for everyone out there as well, a fork is where you have a coin and it splits into two coins. So we've got Bitcoin initially, and for example, Bitcoin Cash, and those two have forked off and gone on their own separate ways. You've got Ethereum and Ethereum Classic from the same code base, but they've gone different ways and done different things, just so everyone is aware. What is a fork? I have a question. Sorry, Skye, go on.
Just the advantage also is when you have like Bitcoin or Ethereum, for example, and it does fork, if you hold that asset, when it forks, you then get free
coins.
Coin of whatever it has forked into.
That's true. So do you think that forks are obviously we talked about that, Do you think potentially that forks are just really where programmers can learn new things, and actually it's speeding up adoption and I guess the development of the technology?
That's a great point. Exactly. It's maybe, like lightning's forked and they're using, they're trying to find the best solution.
Yep. I have one question on this for you, Skye, but what's the real Bitcoin?
What does that mean?
There's a big war about that question. Is it Bitcoin Cash or is it Bitcoin?
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
That's a bigger problem.
It is.
That is a bigger problem than forks. It's misinformation by people like Roger Ver, who are like people buying Bitcoin Cash thinking it's Bitcoin. So that is a much bigger problem than the fork itself.
So which is the real Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
For you, Skye? Bitcoin. Okay.
BTC, not BCH.
There you have it. That's the real Bitcoin. All right, moving on, I guess, talking about adoption now, the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, has been explaining why it's so important to get cryptocurrencies out there. We've got a little video, Joel, if you want to spin this up for us.
If the world had an open financial system where anybody could send payments between each other without trusted intermediaries, we'd have a world that was more free, had more innovation, more efficiency, and more equality of opportunity. Personally, I got really excited about Bitcoin because if the world had one universal currency that ran on the internet, I think it could really help people. There'd be a more global economy, and there'd be a level playing field for everyone around the world to access it.
Yeah, so I guess, Brian's pretty bullish on really getting this global currency out there and it being, cryptocurrency to solve that as a global solution. Do you think cryptocurrency can bring a global currency to bear around the world?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the technology's there. We used to have a global currency and that was gold. Mm. And we turned that into paper so we could transfer it more easily, and then that turned into each country having their own, and then the instabilities in different countries set in. Like, just a bit of a history for those that don't. Actually, that's a bit of a tangent.
Tangents are good. We like tangents.
Okay, so the glass bead scenario. So before, like, as part of the evolution of money, glass beads were a popular form of money. And in Africa, they were of very high value. When the Europeans worked out how to make them really cheaply, they would go to Africa, buy all their gold, buy people as slaves, and there was a huge wealth transfer, right? So this is the problem when different countries have a different currency. It's not a fair playing field across the globe. So the crypto really solves that problem by basically, like gold, except we now can transfer it instantly.
Totally.
Yeah.
ING has come up with a new survey. They've studied 1,000 people, saying that most of the reason why cryptocurrency is being adopted is because of the distrust in the existing financial system. Here are some of the results of the survey. Joel, if you want to bring them up. We can see Turkey in this and Romania ranking the highest, both of which are going through financial turmoil. We can see 18% in Turkey, 12% in Romania, 7% in Australia, and 8% in the US. Poland, Spain, Czech Republic, Austria, Germany. My family comes from Austria, and I've been there every year over the last sort of 3 years. And one of the issues with Austria is there is huge tax and regulation, huge, overbearing amounts. And I think that's probably why a lot of them are sort of turning to cryptocurrency to some extent, potentially. But I think it's interesting,
and crypto's not taxed there?
I'm not sure of the exact law. I wouldn't want to comment on that exactly. But the Turkish lira is literally probably the #1 shitcoin when it comes to global currencies right now. 17-year lowest price, and Turkish crypto exchanges are about 100% above normal levels. Which is really interesting, right? Do you think that financial turmoil will be the trigger point to bring more people in to cryptocurrency?
In the countries where currency debasement is an issue, yes, that will be the driving force.
Like, do you think maybe could the US currency fall over and then everyone flees to something else? Do you think it's going to happen, Skye? Are you like recently?
I don't think that would happen for a while, but that is a potential possibility.
Major adoption. There's another quote here from the ING spending, Joel, if you want to bring that up. We've got, how much do you agree or disagree that digital currencies such as Bitcoin are the future of spending online? Digital currencies are the future of investment. The value of digital currencies will increase in the next 12 months. So future of spending, you can see Turkey, 53%. Half the people in Turkey think it's for spending. Future of investment, again, Turkey, 49%. That's half the people. And rise in value in the next 12 months, again, 51%. Turkey, Romania, and Spain, massive belief in cryptocurrency right now. Massive belief.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Strong correlation. There's another quote here, if you want to bring that up, Joel, from ING. Cryptocurrency might be seen as more promising in countries where the traditional financial system is less efficient or more expensive to use. Obviously, we've got inflation is another one. We want to bring this up, Joel. The inflation chart is another one we've seen in Venezuela and Argentina.
Yeah.
So if you look at on the left here, we've got Venezuela local Bitcoin's monthly volume.
Yeah.
And then you look at the inflation rate as it skyrockets.
Yeah.
You look on the right-hand side here in Argentina, again, inflation since 2017 has been going up and Bitcoin volumes have been going up as well. Do you think there's a correlation between mass inflation increase?
Of course. Okay, so look at Venezuela. They've got the option of the Bolivar, the USD, gold, or Bitcoin. So they will spend the Bolivar as quickly as possible, right? Because every week it's losing more and more value.
Yeah.
So they will try and get rid of it as quickly as possible. But Bitcoin is becoming more and more popular for those reasons. They're trying to get rid of they don't want to hold their national currency.
Yeah.
They will jump to Bitcoin.
100%. We've got a final one from ING in their report. It shows the percentage of respondents likely to buy crypto in the future. You can see, again, Turkey 45%, Romania 38%, Spain, Poland, Italy, Germany, again, Australia only 15%, US only 21%. I guess they're feeling the financial systems are relatively stable. You can see mass instability there in some of those countries in their financial system. What do you think about those results? Does that surprise you?
I'd expect more, actually. So I wonder the demographic of those who are asked, because I think it'll depend on age, on who's going to say yes or no to those questions. Okay.
Talking about accepting payments via commerce and e-commerce now, we've got Coinbase, BitPay, 10x, platforms like YouTube, Twitch, and Reddit are now accepting cryptocurrencies. And apparently Coinbase Commerce is being used by 2.7 million stores. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of stores, right? If you want to bring this up, you can see PrestaShops, WooCommerce, Shopify. I guess they're integrations.
Shopify, there you go.
I guess they're integrations. I wouldn't say necessarily. It seems like very big numbers to me.
Yeah.
One of the questions I thought about with this, Bud, is I wonder, like, how does the KYC AML process work with this? Is this a loophole?
I have no idea. I have bought things with Bitcoin, but I haven't had to KYC.
Yeah.
I know in Australia, I just know the regulation for an exchange, and that is you have to do your KYC. I don't know as a merchant how it works. Well,
Shapeshift just announced that they're going to be bringing in KYC as well, which is really interesting.
Right.
And starting. I wonder, do these Coinbase platforms need to start KYCing their customers, or is there a massive loophole here in this e-commerce? What do you think is the next sort of big adoption, Skye? What do you think is going to trigger people to really start getting back into cryptocurrency?
Education, more products, such as lending. Like, I think we haven't even seen the start of how crypto is going to change the finance industry. So obviously more and more an easy access. The thing we haven't talked about actually is identity. And I think that's a whole other show probably. But when the identity and because basically governments and regulation, they're worried about, you know, money laundering, etc. When we can solve the identity problem of, because KYC doesn't actually perform the function of preventing money laundering and fraud and things like that. Once we can find a solution to identity, that will lead to much broader adoption in crypto, because governments won't have an issue with
who is this customer, what's the transaction.
Yep.
Okay, identity, that's a very good point. Having a single identity, there's a lot of coins out there trying to do that, but Brian Armstrong, again, has brought out a video. Joel, if you want to spin this up, and he's focusing on the long term and obviously being focused on adoption rather than the price of cryptocurrency. I don't know if Joel, if you want to spin this video as well. We've got...
like I said earlier, I want everybody to have a long-term view, so I'm much more concerned about, you know, how do we get crypto to be used by 1 billion people in 5 years than I am what the price did this.
Not about the price. You're looking for people to obviously adopt the currency itself. All right, let's wrap up with some final prices or anything else, Skye, you want to sort of talk about, or anything anything you're feeling about the current market and where you're at. Any predictions? No.
Just what we said before, I'm looking forward to the Bitcoin halving. I'm always a long-term thinker and very bullish on Bitcoin.
100%.
Yeah.
Bitcoin trading at 6,390, Ethereum at 208, EOS $5.20, Ripple at 32 cents, still Bitcoin Cash 425. Actually, Bitcoin Cash is moving on the opposite direction to Bitcoin today, which is quite unusual. Ethereum Classic at $10.72, and Cardano at 7.3 cents. All right, guys, you can follow Skye with her profile there at Spend Her, and do subscribe, obviously, and join us again for some more daily exchange. That's about all we've got today. Thanks so much, Skye, for joining us.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah.